I just want to go ahead and apologize for how much you can't see in this video. I did a lot of looking at the plants and not at the camera, so I did not capture everything that I was describing. So that's just a warning, and I apologize for that. I'm not going to refilm it because now it's raining. So that's what we got. Sorry. Good morning. It is Thursday, February. It's Thursday, April 28th or 9th. And I just woke up. It's like 9 a.m. And I'm going to go check on the garden. We had a pretty heavy rain yesterday evening. So I'm just going to kind of see what's been going on, what's growing. I'm looking here at my area in the greenhouse where I planted some loose seed, kind of just surface sowed some stuff. I'm not seeing anything popping up quite yet. I do see weeds popping up, so I'm going to have to address some of these little green weeds here and there. But things are looking pretty good right now, I think, based on my initial overview. It's kind of a nice morning because it's overcast. It's a little bit cool. Yesterday it got up pretty high. It approached 90 degrees yesterday. So I'm going to come and check on things in the greenhouse. We set up a new irrigation system in the greenhouse last week to make it, my chamomile got too hot and my cumin got too hot yesterday. Oh, and my cilantro, all of it got way too hot. Okay. Well, my family tries their best, but oh, bummer. So these guys, you can tell that they got too hot. They shriveled up and died. So some of the cumin was saved and none of the cilantro was saved. But basically, when things get too hot, they shrivel up and they die. So I have 2 chamomile left that didn't die. My echinacea did okay. I did have some things sprout over here. Which is good. I've got some bachelor button. I think my ageratum sprouted. My sweet alyssum sprouted. And I don't think any, and a yarrow. And a yarrow sprouted. And some snapdragon. So I think almost everything has at least a sprout or 2 except for my balloon flower. So that's good. But a lot of things might have gotten a little too hot. You have to be careful when you have a greenhouse because, things love the warmth, but also things can get overheated pretty easily. And I'm probably going to see some evidence of that. Not too much evidence of that. Okay, I'm okay. I'm most concerned about my tomatoes. My cayenne pepper did not sprout yet, which I'm a little concerned about. I'm a little concerned about my cayenne pepper not sprouting yet. But I've got a bunch of my beans have sprouted up. I'll show you this area over here. So, let's see. These guys here are nasturtium. They are growing up very nicely. These chamomile I transplanted before the work week, so they're looking okay. In the back here, we've got a bunch of tomatoes. This is a little row of peppers that haven't sprouted up. And then over here, we've got beans. I've got some purple vining beans, as well as some standard bush beans, and those are just green beans. In the back here, I've got a bunch of wild thyme, which hopefully soon I'll be able to transplant and put around the pavers in the tea garden. And then these couple of little guys are hollyhocks that have... This tray got attacked by mice and had a bunch of sunflowers in it, and they just went up and dug up the sunflowers and ate them. So the the sort of wells that are missing, I did get to plant outside. And of course my hollyhocks also did get attacked, but I've got a couple of them left, so I'm going to be planting those out once they grow up a little more. I think that's everything here. We of course still have way too many strawberries than we know what to do with. We're trying to come up with a solution that makes sense for them, but a lot of them are currently flowering. You can see a lot of them are flowering. me look up here and see how my Brussels sprouts and lettuce did okay. With the heat, the basil looks happy and fine. The cauliflowers are looking okay. These guys are all cauliflower here. And then I've got my kales in the back that I'm growing for seed. Over here I've got some of my herbs, oregano, bay laurel, baby sage I just started, and I just transplanted a thyme the other day. And these are 2 more broccoli. So actually not too much going on in the greenhouse. You know, a fair amount, but a lot of things I actually have moved outside. We've got some geraniums that we purchased to put in the pots in front of the greenhouse. We kind of really like that white and green theme. There's a little store down on Long Beach Island that my mom and I kind of just adore, called How to Live LBI. And they've got green and white kind of themed flowers. So obviously it's just white flowers with green foliage. But it's really peaceful and simple and beautiful. And we're kind of trying to recreate that in certain patches of our garden. We still have a lot of color though. We're going to have lavender, and we've got pink and red roses. I think we've got some yellow roses as well. And I've got a variety of different kinds of wildflowers that are going to be growing in the tea garden. Our grape has started to put out its leaves. You know, the buds are starting to open up. So it looks like we're going to have a good year for the grape plant. I'm going to walk into our vegetable garden. That's where like kind of a lot is going on, I think, right now, I would say. So let me bring you in there. I've got all my carrots pretty much sprouted up. They're tiny little babies, but you can see sort of the rows of carrots there. I've got 3 different kind of varieties of carrots, I would say. This all the way to the right here is the mixed carrots. That's just literally like regular orange carrots. I think there were some purple carrots and some white carrots. This is the Kaleidoscope mix from Territorial Seed Company. This middle 2 rows are the Snowman variety from Baker Creek, or from Territorial. Those guys are going to be white. And then these last 2 rows here are the new Kuroda carrots, which are from Baker Creek, and they're supposed to be like the best tasting. They kind of are a reddish orange. And then these rows here, these kind of sections here are my beets. The closest section are golden beets, and then I have the classic red beets in the middle section, and then in the back are it's kind of a variety of different beets, including red, golden, and like a pinstripe looking beet when you cut it crossways. So things are all sprouting around here, looking good. Then I've got my cabbages. Any Avatar fans would hopefully get that reference. My cabbages.
Oh, my cabbages! My cabbages!
I don't have as many cabbages as the Avatar Cabbage Man. I'm only growing, 5 right now, but they're in these kind of variety of different pots here, just because they take kind of a while to grow, and I like to utilize my bed space for things that are kind of like interchangeable and moving, if that makes sense. So these guys are what are these? I think these are an Italian variety of kale. Actually they're called Golden Acre. I didn't get the Italian. These are the Golden Acre cabbages, and they're looking really happy. So I did have another set of cabbages that were growing up really large, but unfortunately I left them in the greenhouse for too long, and it got too hot for them, and they bolted up and tried to make flowers. So can't eat a cabbage head that's turning into a flower because there's no head of cabbage, it's just a flower. So I gave those cabbages to the chickens, and they adored them. They devoured them within 30 minutes or something like that. It was kind of crazy. This next bed has a trellis in it. This is actually a hog panel from the Tractor Supply Co. And We're gonna have some snap peas grow up it. These guys are snap peas, and I'm trying to convince them to please climb up the cattle panel, but they keep turning around and not doing so. So hopefully they'll get tall enough that they like kind of have no choice. But I've got some snap peas on this side, and on the opposite side of the cattle panel there's also some more snap peas growing up. Moving around the other side, there's a bed full of Brussels sprouts. So I know I just said I'm trying to keep things that are growing, you know, shorter and interchangeably not in beds, but these Brussels sprouts are really kind of have a long growing season, but I've got an entire bed of Brussels sprouts, so whatever. These I did not start from seed. Sorry, the snap peas were from Baker Creek, and I think they're just called like literally just peas snap. Like I think that literally the only snap peas they have. These guys are from Burpee, or yeah, I think these are Burpee. I bought them from like a box store. I tried to not do that, but I kind of dropped the ball and didn't start Brussels sprouts until later than I should have. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I've got these guys were already started from a box store. I started a set of my own Brussels sprouts, so maybe you can have a sort of a earlier and then a late season harvest. We eat a ton of Brussels sprouts and broccoli in this house, so you know, I'm not gonna like more Brussels sprouts they're not gonna go to waste. And then I have another row of little pots here. These guys, let me get down here. These guys are broccoli. It's the Waltham broccoli variety from Baker Creek. I've got them in little pots here. I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, and then I have another 2 pots in the greenhouse that were a little bit smaller. I waited to put the brassicas out, or the broccoli and the cauliflower out into the actual vegetable garden, because last year I had issue with cabbage worms, which are like the caterpillars that come and eat. They love the brassicas. So I put them out when they were too young and they got totally eaten up. So now that they're a little bit bigger, they have a better chance of surviving cabbage worms trying to eat them. This last bed in this row here is currently housing a couple different types of lettuce, or I guess I should start where I started here. Another hog panel, a little bit more narrow than a cattle panel. And these peas are listening and growing up the panel. These guys are snow peas. So they're getting a little bit, I planted these a little bit before I planted the snap peas, just because I think that this is totally like conjecture, but I think snow peas do better than in colder weather than snap peas, and it's literally just because snow is in the name. I don't know that that's actually true at all, though. Anyway, behind these snow peas are a bunch of different lettuces. Closest to the camera, I've got a variety. Again, the snow peas are from Baker Creek. The lettuce here is from Baker Creek as well. I've got an area of a bunch of the Rocky Top lettuce mix, which we are a big fan of here. It's just a great kind of mixed lettuce variety mix, so each head of lettuce has got a bunch of different types of lettuce in it. And then behind that I've got curly endive, a Paris cause variety of lettuce, and then I think accidentally at the end I do have arugula. I didn't mean to do that, but I think that's what turned out happening. You can't quite see anything to the right of the lettuces yet, but there are a few turnips sprouting up, and those 2 turnips are the Just Right and the Tokyo Cross turnips, and those are both from Territorial. All the different lettuces here are from Baker Creek. Moving on. On the opposite side we're moving to the other side of the garden now. I've got my snow peas growing up quite lovely, doing a better job of climbing on this side of my cattle panel, and then I've got half of a bed growing with the red Russian variety of kale from Baker Creek. Yes, from Baker Creek. Ton of kale. These kales here in these 2 beds were growing all winter and were transplanted out into the garden once it got warm enough in the spring. So let's see. On this side, I've got the kind of standard curly kale, which is really all trying to bolt right now because it was really hot yesterday, so I'm going to kind of cut those back and save them as long as I can. And some more of the red Russian kale here on this side. Again, there are snap peas trying to grow up the trellis, which this side is doing better. I've noticed that these two beds on this side the snap peas are growing up a lot better, and that must have to do with the way the sun is. I just can't think of another reason why they're doing that. Here I have tomatoes, nothing sprouted up yet. It's a mound of tomatoes. We've got Yukon Golds and dark red Norlands growing in here right now. Hopefully I didn't plant them too soon. It got a little bit of cold a couple of days. I'm hoping that they didn't get any rot from that.
Hi, it's me editing in the future. I don't know why I kept calling the hog panels cattle panels and the potatoes tomatoes, but I did, and I'm sorry if it makes things confusing. I don't know why I did that. So yeah, there are potatoes in that mound. Anyway, moving on.
In this next bed here, I've got a bunch of, what is this, broccoli, the Fiesta broccoli variety from Territorial Seed Co. And I also have a couple of Brussels sprouts in here as well. Oh, and in the very back there's a kale, because I didn't have room in my kale bed. Behind this bed here, I'm calling it the tomato bed, but it's actually currently housing kale and spinach. That I put that in place this year with tomatoes in mind, because last year we had our tomatoes blow over. And so this year I'm going to, once the kale is out of here, I'm going to put up a cattle panel along the back half of it, and that way when I plant my tomatoes, they'll grow up the cattle panel and have a little bit more support. I've also got this closer, it's closer to the water, because I don't know if you can see, but there is a line of irrigation drip line running through it, so I can have more consistent watering, because tomatoes really like consistent watering. So, and then at the end we've got a handful of spinach. The spinach was not as, I'm still not having great success with spinach this year. I planted like 72 starts, or seeds, and like this is what I've got for my name, in spinach. So, not as prolific as I was hoping it for it to be. We do eat a lot of spinach in this house, but I'm actually going to probably do a harvest of spinach as well, because they're starting to get a little bit too big for my liking. So we actually have quite a lot going on. I have almost every inch of space in the garden being used, except for one half of a bed. Behind me here, we've added some soil to the sort of back wall of the vegetable garden. As you can see, the nice cedar paneling of our house stops, and we have this kind of concrete, which is the basement, and it's not the prettiest looking feature of the back of the house. So I've actually decided to put a bunch of flowers in this. It's not really a bed, it's that mound of dirt that I've put here. We've got some perennials coming back up. There's a salvia, a catmint, and I think right there is a Russian sage trying to come up. And then I've planted a bunch of sunflowers. Those are the ones that you can see right there. We've got daisies coming up where their sticks are. And then in the soil I've planted zinnia seeds. I'm gonna plan on putting some snapdragons and hollyhocks and other perennials here, but they take longer for it to grow. Take longer to grow and establish, and I kind of again a little bit dropped the ball on planting those. So the starts are going right now, but they were just not ready for to go into the ground. So I've got a bunch of sunflowers going there, and maybe we can harvest sunflower seeds and eat them. We'll see. There's one other little spot that I'm going to take you to behind the greenhouse that I have onions growing. This year I decided to grow all my onions, or all my alliums, onion-like things, outside of the closed vegetable garden, because there's a better chance of them, or I should say, there's a better chance of things that are onions not getting eaten by like chipmunks and groundhogs, because they don't really like to eat onions. So I'm taking a risk by having herbs out here, but I feel less risky having all my onions, garlic, shallots, and leeks out here. So I'm right in front of the garlic and leek and shallot bed. Whoopsie daisy there. These are all my garlic. I planted those last November, and they're looking great. Sorry, I'm just doing a bit of weeding while I'm talking here. I've got 3 varieties of garlic. One of them is not a true garlic. The ones that I'm touching right now, this little last row here, are elephant garlic. These guys are huge. Like, each individual clove was like 3 cloves of garlic, you know, in terms of its size when I planted them. I'm hoping that they taste less garlicky and are more palatable. My mom has some sort of allergy-like reactions to garlic. Not allergy-like, it just upsets her stomach. So we kind of can't have garlic. I know I grow a lot of it, but I just really enjoy not how easy it is to grow garlic, but like you literally just put it in the ground in November and it pops up in the spring. I just love bulbs. I like planting bulbs. It's just satisfying. So I've got the elephant garlic to the left. In the middle and to the right, I can't remember which is which, but I have a red Russian and a chestnut variety. Both of them have a bit of purpley speckles on the skin of it, and they're both hardneck varieties because I've looked it up and I'm supposed to be growing hardneck, or they have a better chance of growing in my climate. This to the right of the garlic, there's a tiny row. I don't even know if you can really see them. Yeah, you can see them. A tiny row here of leek. I've got all the garlic I think was from Baker Creek. I've got 2 leek varieties growing here. I have the Bulgarian giant leek from Baker Creek and the Scottish Musselburgh leek from Territorial. And then I've got these, I'm just going to pivot, and the rest of this kind of 3x3 space has these kind of imitation shallots, which are from Territorial. True French shallots are bulbs, which I did order, but I can't get those until the fall when I'm actually supposed to be planting them. So these guys are just kind of an onion that is similar to a shallot. And these guys I started both the leeks and the onions, or the shallots, from seed. The garlic, it was from, you know, obviously the cloves. That's the only way you can plant garlic. Okay. And then we changed the layout of the tea garden. In front of me, actually, I have the grape, but I showed you that already. So we changed the layout so that way I've got an archway leading into the tea garden. It made a little more sense. We had it to the side, but to me, an archway kind of symbolizes more like an entry and a pathway through something. And the way it was leading to nowhere, so it didn't really make any sense. So we've moved the archway to be at the start of the tea garden, and we've framed it with 2 roses. These are 2 tall tea roses, and then I have a climbing rose on the other side, both really beautiful blooms. So hopefully that makes a little more visual sense and is, you know, prettier. In this other bed, I've got herbs going to be growing here. Herbs will be growing in this bed. I've got parsley right now, right there, and lavender and sage, and then I just brought the rosemary pot out. I'm going to have basil and cilantro and other stuff growing here. Unfortunately, my cilantro just died, so I'm going to have to start over there, but you win some, you lose some. This is the other rows, and then you kind of get to walk through this lovely path of stepping stones to the greenhouse. On the way, you're going to be passing, not right now, but you will be passing wildflowers and hopefully filled with pollinators. I'm hoping to see some bumblebees and some honeybees and some butterflies kind of coming through here and thriving. So as we walk through, it's kind of an awkward angle for me, you walk through and you actually meet 3, I've got a weed whack around them, blueberry bushes. So they've got plenty of little buds on them, so I'm excited. We're going to have a lot of blueberries. I'm going to have to put cages around them soon because we're going to have birds eating our blueberries. and squirrels and chipmunks. So we have to build a little triangular cage to put around them, or little cloches as they call them, to cover them up. My plan for around the stepping stones is to have creeping thyme. It's sort of something that I can eat. You know, you can harvest it and eat it, but it also is, they have cute little pink flowers, so and I don't want to have just dirt around the pavers, and I don't want weeds to grow up around the pavers, so that's kind of my alternative. Right now in the ground, I don't even know if you can really see them, I have 1, 2, 3 chamomile growing, and then I have seeds of a bunch of different wildflowers, including milkweed and calendula and echinacea, so things that you can, well, milkweed you can't eat, actually the sap is poisonous, so you don't want to eat the milkweed, but I've got borage and some other stuff growing. I've got a row of lavender that actually has perennialized, and some of them have come back. I've had to cut them back quite a bit, but I might have to plant 1 or 2 more new plants. But I'm really surprised. The lavender in this area came back, and the lavender that I planted in the herb bed came back. In the back here, I've got onions growing. These guys I did not start from seed. I had onions growing from seed, and they just did not survive. It did not work out for me. So these guys were from a box store as well. I've got some red onions and some yellow onions, and they're looking pretty happy. They had a good rain last night, so they're looking good. And that's pretty much everything I've got growing. I do have some pretty bulbs that you've already seen, the tulips on the other side of the greenhouse here. Boop. They're looking cute. We had daffodils come up, and then we had a couple different types of tulips. We had like a Barbie blush pink, a pale yellow, a white, and like a brighter red. And then there's a couple other tulips that are coming up that have yet to come up, and they're growing, and I don't know what they're going to be. So that's always fun. That's pretty much everything that's going on right now. I got to make a little fun sign and practice my calligraphy. It's backwards right now, but it says welcome to the Davis family garden. So yeah, I think things are kind of coming along and looking nice. I'm not gonna have to water anything or do anything this morning. I'm gonna have to restart my frickin' cilantro because they all died, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day and happy gardening.